All right, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. Let's put that there. All right, how's everybody doing today? Everybody doing good, I hope. Lovely Friday, cool Friday afternoon here in the great state of Missouri. So, let's, as usual, the live stream today is brought to you by Apotheosis Box Mods. So go check them out and go buy a box. So, where's that at? All right. So, as we start out every lovely stream with, grab your vape. Let's chillax a little bit. Have a vape. Just, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, a little indigestion today. A little drink here. All right. So, I don't have any real fancy schmancy topic today. So it's like, well, what can we talk about? I'm like, well, let's talk about the early days of vaping, because a lot of y'all who watch this channel, you're old school. You're old school as well. You've been doing it for as long as me or longer. And so I thought I'd bring you some blasts from the past. As I mentioned before, I work at a vape store, and I got to digging around in the storeroom the other day and found a bunch of old ass shit. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to show y'all some of that stuff. Bring back some memories, as it were. And in the process, kind of tell you my quitting story or whatever that's called or whatnot. I don't have one of those cute little pieces of paper, I quit this or that with this flavor or whatnot. But, so yeah. So I figured that's what we would talk about today. And so let's jump into it. So, back in 2014, they were having a fireworks show up in St. Louis. Now, they normally have it right by the arch, but they were doing construction, so they moved it to, I think it's Forest Park, something like that. And so that was the year that we decided to go and watch the fireworks as a family. So back then, I was chewing about a can of snuff a day. I was on, it wasn't Grizzly, it was another rot gut son of a bitch. I was going through a can of that, and then on the weekends, I'd smoke, maybe 6, 7 cigarettes, and then I also had a nice cigar collection going. So I was firmly entrenched in tobacco. So we go up to the fireworks show, and we get hungry, and so we go onto the walk, and they've got, along with restaurants, they've got booths set up for different groups or whatnot. And I got to looking, and they had a blue tent set up, an electronic cigarette. And I was like, what the hell is that? And so as you're walking up, would you like a free blue? I'm like, okay, I'll take anything that's free. Fuck it. So I went in there, and I got this. All I had to do was fill out some paper, saying I was 21 or whatnot. And they handed it to me. So I took a hit. Oh, it's finally dead. It was working last year, so, it had a pretty good battery to it. Well, anyway. So I got it. Took a few hits off it, thought it was kind of a giggle, put it in the backpack. And didn't think any more about it until we got home that Sunday. And 4th of July was on a Friday that year. So I got home Sunday, was unpacking, pulled it out, and went, And the wife had been on me for years to quit chewing. I quit smoking by starting chewing, which is really smart. And so I'd been chewing for about 15 years. And I took it out, took a few hits off of it. Says, do you have a problem with this? Asking the wife, do you have a problem with this? And she looking at it, and she's like, well, it doesn't smell very nice, but it's not that bad. I says, well, I was thinking about trying this to quit. She's like, well, give it a whirl. So I was sitting on it, and I was like, I like this, but maybe let's go see. And so I was talking to someone, and they says, they've got different flavors or whatnot. So I had to go to work that night. So I went up to Walgreens, and I bought one of these. And I paid like $50 for it. And so it comes with, what is that? I think that's cherry. Little cherry thing there. This one, oh hell, this one's still sealed. This one's still sealed. This is like a menthol, I think. This one is just regular tobacco. And then, of course, you have your little battery. I was like, well, let's see if it still works. Probably not, because it didn't hold a charge worth of shit back then. Yep. So I got that, and from the very moment I got this, when I took my last chew out, I never put another chew back in. Never have to this day. So, I mean, that was the very first thing that I got. And so I went to work that night, and about halfway through, I was like, I don't think this is going to work. It doesn't satisfy very much. It's not very good. Doesn't taste very good. Just altogether, it's not everything I'd hoped it would be. Hey, there's another one in here. So that's a cherry menthol. What is this one? Ice cream? It's got a little picture of ice cream on it. Hell if I know what that means. So, let me put these back in here. So, I knew that night that this simply was not going to work. It just did not satisfy worth the flip. And so the next day I went to the vape store that I currently work at, and I walk in there and I says, hey, I need the smallest damn thing you've got. I don't want to make a big fuss about it, you know what I mean? I don't want people to really notice what I'm doing. And so went in there and he sold me this. Now, you're saying to yourself, that looks like a regular Ego. This is not a regular Ego. This is a much, much smaller Ego. Comparison's sake, the silver one is a regular Ego. So these are itty freaking bitty little son of bitches. And that's just the battery right there. It uses that wick silica stuff in there. And these were the kind where you could not change the coil. You had to replace the whole tank. That's how small these were. And something I noticed a little while ago, it still freaking fires. It still has a charge. I haven't used this thing in forever. Turn that back off so I don't actually burn some. So that's what I started out with right there. This very one. Yep. I went out and bought a couple more batteries. Had a bunch more of these cartomizers. Boy, that sucks. Wow. And so it kind of progressed from there. And the next thing that I got, and this is the last thing that I have that is actually mine that, other than the like RDAs and stuff like that. This before we get to RDAs, this was my first actual, I guess you would call it a mod because it did take an 18650 battery. But this right here. So, little Tesla doodad. Even the box doesn't have a name on it. I've got the box over here. It doesn't even have a name on it. It's just Tesla. Little 15-watt device. Rocking a Nautilus on top with the cage. And this was my main go-to vape until I got into RDAs. And I even still have the batteries that came with it. So you would, let's take a peek. See, I don't know if these batteries have any life in them or not. I've never used them, obviously. So, get in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, they're dead or in the door now. And I don't have, I had some 18650s over here earlier. I moved them. But anyway, these piece of shit batteries right here. That's all I had to start with. And this mod. And that was, and, here we are today. I make my own boxes. I do it all for the most part. So that's kind of a trip down my personal memory lane. Now, there was other stuff going on at the time, and I got some of that stuff here as well. But let me draw your attention to the Nautilus. We all know that was a game-changing son of a bitch right there. That was awesome. But what did you have before you had the Nautilus? What did you have? Well, if you were, not using a C4 or some iTaste tank or something like that, you were using, let me unscrew this from this. I'd rather just show this to you. You were using this. Kangaroo tank. You can get a better picture of it there. So yeah, is that not a blast from the past right there? Yeah, that was, and these things sucked so bad. Oh my God, they were horrible. And it all had to do with those really crappy little coils. I mean, they were just horrible little son of a bitches. Didn't wick worth the shit. This is the dual. And, so yeah, you had the Aero tank, and then I think there was like a Pro tank or something like that, and then the Aero tank, the Aero tank 2. This is the Aero tank 2 from Kangaroo, but yeah, just wow, huh? Isn't that fucking awesome? So anyway, so there's a little blast from the past. Now, anybody remember one of these? They had two different versions, ones that was sealed and ones you could take out, the batteries. And it took I wanted to say a 14650 or 14500, something of that nature. And this one still lights up. It doesn't fire, but yeah. You better remember those. I mean, they were kind of the rage when I was first starting, because you could take out the battery and stuff. So that's what that completed setup. So that's a setup that you would have had in 2013, 2014. That's a complete setup from get-go. So that's pretty cool. And then I've got something here. This is the oldest thing I could find. And this is from 2013. It's not complete. There's a little cap cover that goes over the top of it. But does anybody remember these? The iVape 5s. There should be a cover that goes over there, and so it makes it a complete look. But you had your USB. You could output from it and input power. Had your typical 510 connection up there at the top. You had some, I think those are lights that tell you where you were at as far as charge goes or whatnot. And this one's dead as all get out. It hasn't been used in umpteen million years, but I mean, does anybody remember that? I mean, honestly. iVape 5. That is just... And we didn't sell very many of these. They were very expensive, as I recall. But then you would rock it with a little Kangertech tank. Like so. And that would be your little vape. That's pretty neat little stuff right there. And then around about the time that I started vaping, these were all the rage. And this tank is time period appropriate. Most of y'all will remember this. The MVP. The first generation of it. At the bottom, you could charge a phone or something from it. There's your charging port. You had that shitty little fucking screen right there. That you had the P and the U. Instead of volts and watts, went up to what? Went up to 5 volts or something like that. Yeah, it's dead. It hadn't worked for years. And then this is some sort of eye clear tank. I can't remember which one it is. But yeah, if you were vaping, you were vaping one of these, and I think it went up to, I'm wanting to say 12 watts. I think it was 10 or 12 watts, maybe 11, but somewhere in that vicinity. So that's what these went up to. And when this one came out, going up to 15, that was just the shit right there. That was just 15 watts. Holy shit. Who the fuck? I like to find my first 30 watt device. I don't have it anymore. It was called a transformer. I paid $130 for a 30 watt fucking device. Didn't you believe that shit? And we're like, who the fuck needs 30 watts? You'll never use 30 watts. That's fucking stupid. Yeah. Yeah. Those were the freaking days, huh? But so yeah, this was all the rage back then, around when I first started vaping. And then of course the obligatory, these are what our number one sellers were. These flew off the shelves like nobody's fucking business. I've sold probably thousands of them, and I cannot for the life of me remember what we charged. I'm wanting to say it was like $29.95 would get you this setup. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, the old EVOD. Yes, sir. And this one's dead too. But yeah, this was what got probably 90% of people off of vaping right here. This little fucking setup. Cheap little fucking battery. I think it's a 900 mile battery. Um, yeah. God. These things sucked so bad. I remember, God, you'd have to replace so many fucking batteries. And the coils would go out all the fucking time. And then I found one more thing that I don't remember what the name of it is. And we had like 3 of them. And they sat in the counter. Oh, in the display case for years before we pulled them out. Because we couldn't quite never figure them out. But they were kind of like, your Provaris and stuff like that where you had change, but it was the cheapy version. It looks just like an Ego Stick, but you could change stuff. But the thing is we never could figure out how to get it to do what we wanted it to do when we wanted it to do it. I think everybody who worked at that vape store tried to sell one of these at some point in time. Could not adequately show how to work it, and just went, fuck it, you want one of the regular EVODs. So, a little blast from the past there. And we've got one more thing for those who were already a little bit more advanced than I was at the time. Using, the little EVODs and the little Tesla thing here. There's already people who are dripping. I don't know exactly when that started. I know that Squonkers were in 2013, so one would assume that 2011, 2012, somewhere in there, that's where RDAs were kind of invented, if you will. So they'd been around for a while, but they just were not mainstream because everyone that I've seen sucked, including this one. This one's bad. This one is, oh my God, this one's bad. And this is on loan here. This is called the Dreadnought. Does anybody remember this piece of shit right here? This is quite possibly the worst mechanical mod ever made in the history of the fucking world. This thing, I have tried to refurbish this. I've spent years trying to get this thing to work right. You got this little itty bitty button right here. Look at that throw. Boy, I don't know. Hold on, let me get some here that's thin enough. Yeah, let's use a blue cigarette. There we go. I don't know if you can tell this or not. Let me try to get this. But look how deep that throw is. I mean, good Lord. And I tell you what, that may be a long throw, but you sure fucking regretted it when you got to the end of it. If you had anything lower than 0.2, you were frying your fucking finger. That's just it. This thing, it gives you the hot button from hell. I've tried everything that I could to de-hot button this son of a bitch, and there is no way. But this is an original hybrid. Not, the hybrids where you just screw on top like the newer days. This is, let me get this apart. This was your deck. Let me get it just centered. So that's your deck, little 3 posts there, but there's no 510. So this screwed directly into the body. Right there. And that's how you made your connection. And I've got 2 of them up there, the Neptune and the Valkyrie. Valkyrie. I've got 2 other ones that are just like that. They're, matter of fact, I've got an Omega that is the same exact way. Yet there is no 510. How you check the ohms on these, I do not know. I guess you needed to run a multimeter on them or something to get what your ohm resistance was. So you better knew what the fuck you were doing when you were messing with this one. But a 26650 battery made of the world's finest pig iron here. I mean, this thing has more voltage drop than you can stick at. Like I say, I've been trying to refurbish this thing for years, and unfortunately, there's no helping it. I've tried drilling out holes for more airflow. That's what the original slots look like, and I drilled them out there. But it only had one airflow hole. Is that right? Yeah, because this is your AFC adjustment up here. So you would put this sucker in here. Oh, no. Okay, so you could have two holes open on the same side? Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. So you could have two holes open, but only on one side. So running a dual coil in here was that just wasn't a fucking option. this was for team single coil right here. And that's why I've drilled out that side. That's why those are round and those are oval. Is I was trying to kind of update this and make this at least usable. But I ran into two problems. One, the center positive post spins like a fucking fan. I mean, it just will not stay still for shit. And then the other thing is that hot button. I'm not even joking. This button gets incredibly fucking hot. As a matter of fact, how do I do this? Let me put this in here. Look at that. Look at that big old mouthpiece on that bad boy. Ooh, yeah, big old mouthpiece. I mean, it's just a little 510 hole. That's it. That's just an awful lot of fucking... that's an awful lot of mouthpiece for what little air you're getting. I just broke the O-ring. Well, it'll live. Alright, yeah, this button. Yeah, so you had the sleeve that went over it. And then you've just got the world's shittiest, just pig iron fucking tube of metal here. But it had this, I mean, it looked cool, you know what I mean? Ooh, yeah. But, yeah, it just ate your voltage up. Oh, my God, you weren't getting a good hit off of this. Let's see here. Yeah, I need tools to take this apart. I think. Yeah. But yeah, it's what does that say? Huh. I don't even know who made these originally. This is a clone. Make no mistake about it. This is not an authentic. There's no fucking way that this is authentic. If this is what the authentics look like, well, that company deserved to fail. But yeah, how about them apples, huh? Looks cool as shit. This thing is heavy. I'm not even joking. The only one that's heavier is... Fuck, I can't remember the name of it. But it's the only one that's heavier than this. This thing just... you just takes someone out. But yeah, that was... this is what, if you were... in the know back in 2014, yeah, that's what you were rocking on. So, so that's all the show and tell I've got for some of the older stuff. It was just a different time. It was a different time. It was a better time. I'm now realizing, I'm 50 now, and I remember growing up and listening to the old people talk about how great the old days were and shit like that. And like, whatever, motherfucking old fuck. It kind of sucks that I'm kind of like that now. But this wasn't even that long ago. This is 6 fucking years ago, man. This whole fucking thing has just completely collapsed in 6 fucking years. That is just unfucking believable, man. Oh. So, anyway, I'm not sure what else I've got. That took about as long as I'd hoped it was going to take. Took about 30 minutes or so. I just, it's the weirdest thing. I had just got done. I knew we were going out of town, so I just got done buying 2 sleeves of chew, like on Wednesday. Um, I'd only taken 2 cans out of the 2 sleeves, and I ended up throwing them away. To be honest with you, so it's amazing that everything I am now, as far as vaping goes, it all started with these little blues. And so you can knock them. Yeah, they suck. They tasted horrible. They lit up super duper stupid. But I recognize the value. I recognize the value of what it was doing. The wife recognized the value of what it was doing. And now, granted, we went from wispy little fucking plumes, wispy little clouds or whatnot, to blowing out big ash clouds. And that took a little bit for the wife to get used to. She wasn't a super duper huge fan of that at the beginning, but, it was just the progression. It was the progression. I knew people who started out on this and still use them to this day. And I knew people who, much like me, who bought them and knew in a week that this was not going to satisfy. And that takes us back to last week's video with the divisions within the vaping community. Is for some people this works. For some people, the Atlantis or Nautilus still works. And from my understanding, I mean, once again, I don't know because I don't do the mouth to lung stuff, but this is still considered relevant technology. And the wholesale price on them reflects that as well. I mean, these are still considered a good device if you're wanting to use a tank. I mean, think about that. Something that came out in 2014 is still relevant today to a good segment of the vaping population. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me and others like me, that size of airflow was not going to cut it. A 2 mil airflow was not going to cut it. We needed more. And I don't think there's anything wrong with needing more. But there is a certain segment of the vaping community who thinks that's it. That's as good as you should get. And that's where I think they're wrong. I think everybody has to quit with there's a device out there for everybody. And it's not the same one. We're all different. That was what the beautiful thing about vaping it still is there is a device that will help you quit. No doubt about it. You just have to find it. And it can be expensive. It can be time consuming. Pardon me. But it's out there. It is out there. And just because someone else doesn't like the way you vape, or they tell you, and this is, I think, where we've lost some people in the past, is by certain people saying, well, if you need more than this, you don't. You should not need more than this. And someone hits it and goes, oh, well, that's not enough. And then they go back to cigarettes, not knowing that there's a whole nother world option out there. But they're just not shown it because that's what people certain people believe in the vaping industry. Now, at my shop, we never carried blues. Never. We never carried anything like that. But we had these. We had these. We had these. We had RDAs. We had tube mods. We had everything. And we would always start you out on an EVOD to see if it would stick. And if it stuck, but it wasn't enough, then we would progress you to something different. We wouldn't stop you and go, well, this is as good as it gets, so fuck off. No. We provided other options. So we were a store who had RDAs and Ego sticks and everything in between. And that's the argument that pisses me off, is because of RDAs, people weren't coming into my shop and transitioning. They were. You just don't know what you're talking about because you're an asshat. So, all right. So I think I've waffled on just about as much as needs to happen today. Keeping it relatively short, 37-minute video. Works good for me. So we will see how this one does. I'm going to start kind of paying attention to the numbers and see if this is worth my time. I've got a lot of shit on my plate right now. And I may back off of the weekly thing and just do maybe a monthly. I don't know. I'm just not getting I'm not getting the numbers I thought I was going to get to start out with, and that may be my thinking may be wrong in that regard. So I'm gonna have to go back and look at all the numbers of the videos that I've done so far for the weekly live stream, and we'll see what we're doing. But it takes a lot to come up with an idea that people would want to hear me waffle on about. So I think we'll go ahead and cut it off there. I want to thank everybody who was watching today, and thank everybody who's going to be watching it in the replay. Keep on vaping, and let's see where this shit goes, y'all. So y'all have a good one. See you later.